President Trump is in Vietnam this morning for an Asia-Pacific summit. It's still unclear if he will meet with Russian President Vladimir Putin. The White House says nothing is scheduled, but an informal encounter is, in their words, possible and likely. Early this morning, the president told other APEC nations their trade practices have hurt the U.S. unfairly. Major Garrett is traveling with the president. He's in Da Nang, Vietnam, the site of the APEC summit. Major, good morning.
Good morning. The big question here is, will President Trump have a formal sit-down meeting with Russian President Vladimir Putin? Now, the Russians are game, but so far the answer is no, in part because the U.S. has demanded serious engagement on some pretty tough issues: Syria, Ukraine, and, oh, by the way, Russian election meddling in 2016. Now, the other big issue here, of course, is the global economy and trade, and with that comes the sound and fury of the president's America First agenda.
We are not going to let the United States be taken advantage of anymore.
President Trump came to the annual Asian Economic Summit complaining the U.S. was a frequent victim of global trade abuses.
I wish previous administrations in my country saw what was happening and did something about it. I will.
Despite the president's kind words during his state visit to China just 24 hours ago,
our relationship has already proven to be a great one.
He called them and other nations out for cheating on trade deals.
They ignored the rules to gain advantage over those who followed the rules, causing enormous distortions in commerce and threatening the foundations of international trade itself.
Contrary to the president's claim that past administrations failed to respond to such abuses, America has filed 124 complaints with the World Trade Organization, more than any other country. The U.S. has been accused of cheating as well, with 143 cases filed against, alleging unfair trade practices, also more than any other country. With the First Lady Melania still in China visiting pandas and the Great Wall, Mr. Trump promised to be more confrontational with the rival power.
We can no longer tolerate these chronic trade abuses, and we will not tolerate them.
Back to Presidents Trump and Putin. For the most part, it appears that the most that will be achieved here is a casual handshake, a couple of words here and there, a very informal encounter, very little that's substantive. And beyond that, it's worth pointing out that as the special counsel investigation intensifies in Washington about that Russian election meddling or collaboration with the Trump campaign, well, that makes diplomatic calculations here all the more complex.
All eyes, Major, will be on whether or not he does meet with Vladimir Putin. Thank you so much for joining us from Vietnam.